Today I want to welcome Croz Crossley, who is known as the Mindset Master. Now, the only way I can explain about Croz is I just want to say welcome and thank you for coming on, Croz.
My pleasure.
So Croz is basically, if you've seen Karate Kid, what Mr. Miyagi was to Daniel-san is what Croz is to me. He's helped me master certain few things that I'm still on my journey. But Croz, if you can just start with giving people a bit of an insight to what you do and how you can help people.
Well, what my knowledge is that everything is controlled, starts and finishes in your mind. What you send out, what you get, what you see, what you observe, you assimilate it in your mind. And what your mind is doing is creating your life. So I learned at one point that I had a lot of knowledge. I lost everything. And then I tried to get back in 5 minutes what had taken me the previous 25 years to get hold of, which was a daft thing, that you do silly things when you're stressed. And I couldn't make it work. I'd been a very successful businessman, and now I was stressed and struggling, and I couldn't make anything work. And I wanted to find out why. And I found a way whereby you've got to slow down, and then you start getting traction. And I learned after 2 years a process that sort of helped me out. And I looked at it, I thought, bloody hell, that would be handy to let other people know about that. And I've spent the last 30 years talking virtually every day about it to different people, get some amazing success purely and simply by changing the way people think. But the thing is, the reason that a book won't really have much success is because you need, the book can't explain to you when you've tried it why it didn't work. The book can't explain to you how you've actually got to position yourself. So what we do with most people is self-development. I mean, I talk to audiences all over the world, and everyone in the audience thinks they know or knows more than me. I don't know, they may know more than me, but I always ask one question: why can't you make it work? That is the secret, is making it work. Because most people read a book, go, yeah, that's it, I've got it. And when it doesn't work, what do? Rather than repeating that to get until it works, they grab another book. Because this is the one, because it's got on the cover, this is the secret, or this is the other. And it doesn't work. So the journey that I'm on and that I take people on is to let them know, number one, how powerful they are. And number two, that the real world, you should work less and earn more, which always makes people laugh. But in 30 years, I ain't failed yet.
And I think that's the thing. A lot of the teachings that you teach, they're very simplistic. And I think people just think, well, they expect something different. And like you said, it's like someone that takes up karate and they become a black belt and they learn that move and move again. Why do we do it as human beings? We read one book, that don't work, we go on to a next book rather than just rereading it. But just, you mentioned there you lost everything. Can you just go in? Yeah. I know the story, and I think it's important for people to understand that you've been through that journey, so you understand the pain of what it's like. Just talk to us about you losing everything.
Well, yeah, I've been a very successful in business. You know, I'd done property, and I'd had 50 odd different businesses, from petrol stations to car yards to care homes, everything. I've done every bit of everything. Serial entrepreneur. And I moved to Australia in 1988. And for the first time in my life, I bought a business, because all the new legislations and rules, I thought it'd be easier to do it. So I bought a security company for a substantial amount of money that was national, and I built it up. I got rid of all the ancillary bits, because I believe in having one gold mine rather than 10 coal mines. You concentrate on one thing, make that your income. So we built it up into a multi-million-dollar concern. And I took a young chap off the door. It was a security company that we did crowd control and what have you. And I took this guy off the door, made him into operations manager. And I wasn't, watching my back. I was quite happy with it. And then one morning I woke up, he'd been to every client and said that he'd do the work for $1 an hour less and this, that, and the other. And there were certain things that he couldn't take, which was where we did the security at Parliament House, which was, he obviously couldn't take that because that was contracted. But basically, he decimated my business overnight, and I didn't have a really good fight in me, because the hurt was the fact that he had done that. In business, you expect all sorts of things to happen, but someone that you'd love, that days earlier had been round your house as a guest for your Christmas, someone who had done that was the hurt and the pain. And I didn't know how to deal with it. And I thought I was broke when it all happened. So I sold everything, and I had $250,000. Well, I thought I was skint, because where I'd fallen from, $250,000 wasn't going to cut it. So, but everyone around me thought I was rich, which is a perception, isn't it? So £10 might be a lot to someone, and 100,000 might not be a lot to someone. So it's all perception. But I thought I was skint. So I set about getting back in 5 minutes what had taken me, as I say, the previous 25 years to earn. And eventually, after 2 years of working 80 hours a week on a business that I shouldn't have opened in the first place, I decided to put the key in the door. So then I was absolutely skint. And that is when I learned all this stuff, because it doesn't matter how much you know, if you can't apply it, it's not worth anything. It's the application of your knowledge that will give you wisdom. Application of knowledge, observing the results, is wisdom. Knowledge isn't really that powerful without the wisdom to back it up.
Very, very sort of wise words. Now, there'll be people, especially with what's going on at the moment, that can relate to that. But I find, and as you know, I was in my set ways, and there's probably a lot of people that are in their set ways. But sort of, how do you go about changing someone's mindset?
Well, number one, I always start off, I can only work with someone who trusts the messenger. You've got to believe that I can help you. Otherwise, I'm sitting there talking to you and you're going, it's going over your head, because most people aren't present. They're somewhere else. You think they are. They're physically there, but mentally they're not. They're all over the place. In fact, you're a little bit like that at the moment. You're thinking of something you're going to be doing later today and all that. You're not totally present, right? So it's, once someone commits and says, yes, that's it, I do, I can give them the benefit of 50 years business experience and 30 years mindset experience. If they trust me, I can take them. And as I say, I haven't failed yet, because most businesses are run by people that are convinced that they haven't got a minute to spare. And I can go in there and in very short time claim time back. Now, the trouble is, you see, and this is the education, this is why you need ongoing help, is because we create the time back. And if we're not careful, they fill it with more rubbish, right? The point is, time is the most valuable commodity that you possess, and you give it away wholesale. So when we claim the time back, that's yours. That's your time, right? And you've got to understand that it's so valuable to you. So everybody in business is pretending that they're busy, bar none. Businesses are like a cupboard under the stairs and junk. You always fill the space available with junk, right? Your loft, cupboard under the stairs, everywhere. You don't need it, but you fill it because you think that's what the space is for. And it's the same with business. We pretend we fill it with rubbish because we may not be needing to do something, but we're programmed to believe that we've got to be doing something, otherwise we're not doing the job properly, we're not earning any money. But the thing is, once you know the rules, you understand that a lot of what we're doing isn't necessary. And once you clean all that out, then you start getting clarity, because you stand at the business, you stand back and look at the business, because most people are under the bonnet. Now, the worst place to be if you're running a garage is under the bonnet, because everyone around you is doing all the bits and pieces wrong, and you're under there doing it right. And then when you pull your head out, you've got to put all the things right that they've done wrong. So the best thing to do is put someone else under the bonnet, stand back and watch everybody. Then that simple thing will change your life. But we all think no one else can do what we can do, don't we? We all think we're the only one that can do it. And that's the biggest awakening. They tell people, say, listen, there's thousands of people can do it as well as you, and some better than you.
I think that's wise words there, because there's so many people, and I remember myself, and a lot of people will be in business where you can't build a business on your own. It's physically impossible. And they sort of take on, that sort of mindset and think they can do everything themselves, and it adds more stress and it slows them down. Now, if you had one bit of advice for someone who needed your help, what would it be?
Well, my tagline is relax, relax, relax. If things are going wrong, relax. And if that ain't quite working for you, then relax a bit more. And if that's not working for you, relax a bit more. None of this works without you coming from a relaxed place, because we've all been there where we're stressed and we do things that we would never do when we weren't stressed. But we're convinced that if we just put that extra little bit of effort in, we'll make it work this time. That doesn't happen. The best thing to do is to just relax. If you're in a stressed situation, and it's the last thing you want to hear, some silly old bugger with grey hair and a beard coming up to you when you're stressed off with 2 inches above the floor with steam coming out of your ears. Here, I'll tell you what the solution is here, mate. Just relax. But you don't want to hear that. And it's a very difficult thing to do, but that's what you've got to do. So my advice to everybody is just try and learn. Even if you can relax for just 10 minutes, you'll find that your thought patterns will change as soon as you do it. But all this is all mind, learning how to do things. And once you do it, I mean, if you kept repeating something that didn't give you a result, you'd stop doing it, right? But if you do something that gives you a result, that gives you knowledge that it works. The circumstances might change, but if you stick to it, that's what I say, a business is run on processes. Once you get a process that works, find someone who wants your product, a journey through till they buy your product. That's all you need to know. All you got to do then, don't worry about the money, just keep repeating that, and the money will take care of itself, okay? But we're so insistent on changing things. And when people need processes the most, is like now. Everyone's changing what they're doing, right? They call it pivoting, right? Well, I've been around a long, long time, and things don't change. The information that I've got works, whether there's COVID, lockdowns, whether it's sunny, rainy, whatever, provided that you do it. But most people, what they do in business, when things get difficult, they change the process. Now, there might be things that you've got to do differently. If you can't go outside or whatever, you might have to do things differently. But basically, don't change the process. Just keep doing what you were doing. And, and if, as I say, if things are drastically different, then you would have to. But basically, just repeat the process.
Okay. And I mean, you've brought out your book, Tell Us Another.
Yeah.
What was the reason you brought out that book, and what's the aim for that book?
Well, I'd sort of been on this journey for quite a while. Then when I came to the UK, I mean, I've got drawers full of theses and bloody stories and bits and pieces that I've drawn over the years. I had a big website in Australia called The Science of Getting Rich, and we had 170,000 subscribers. So I was a prolific writer. And then when we got over to the UK, my wife Val got hold of a lot of the stuff, bits and pieces, and just put it into a bit of a book, which it's quite helpful. It talks about the story of when I lost the business. It talks about how I forgave that person, because that's a whole new trip, forgiveness. That's that is one to get hold of. But and it's, I believe in there that there is a lot of information that it's not woo-woo. It's not, you've got to suspend belief and stand on one leg with your finger in your ear, nothing like that. It's all basic information. But as I say, the trouble is, the hardest thing to do is to apply it. If you do apply these teachings, they can't fail. But most people do a little bit, like exercise. They cheat a little bit, and they say they haven't got as fit as they thought they were going to get. Well, the reason they didn't get as fit as they thought they were going to get is because they only did half of the exercise. But they won't admit that. It's better to blame the process and say the process don't work rather than blame yourself for not having done what you should have done. But these teachings are thousands and thousands of years old. They're not mine. They've been around for thousands of years. Every religion in the world's based on the teachings. Every cult's based on the teachings. But the trouble is, when I've denuded it for no other reason than to help people, but most people use the teachings to control people, religion and all that sort of thing. So, once you denude it, there's very, very little to know. As I say, very little to know, but to apply it is very, very difficult.
Okay. And I think at the moment, with everything going on, there's people out there that they're being furloughed, or there's people out there that are spending time with their family at home, and it's giving them that inkling, like, I like time with my family, what can I do? And they're discussing with their other half, it could be their wife, it could be their partner, or it could be a family member. They think, let's try and do something together. Let's set up a business. And they'll be scared, because they think there's no point doing it now. We got to wait for a better time. And I know you have a strong opinion that, tomorrow never comes, sort of do it now. But you've done a lot of projects with your wife, a lot of business projects. And I know that you guys, you're very, very content and happy in that. And a lot of people sort of listen to that and think, I don't want a divorce. There's no chance I'm going in. But what would you say to people that, potentially they can have a better family life by doing something with their wife or their partner? What should they do? How should they go about it? And what tips could you give on working alongside your wife?
Well, I've been with Val now for 53 years. Okay. And we've been actively involved in excess of 50 businesses. And it's wonderful, because I think the main thing I'd say is that accept your strengths. Don't look for the other's weaknesses, right? So the thing is that you'll find in a couple that that one will balance the other, but we tend to look for what people can't do rather than what they can do. So I love building businesses. It's like falling off a log for me. It's just, as I say, it's a process, right? So I love building businesses, but the thing I hate the most is running them. Val loves running businesses. So it was a sort of marriage made in heaven, wasn't it? Because I did get the bits and pieces going, and then we talk through it, and I just sort of do the creative bits and pieces, and Val does the paperwork and all the bits around that. And we've had such a diverse number of businesses, but basically it's the same thing. If you're selling a service, be the best service you could be, customer service, etc. If it's retail, make sure that you're competitive on the price and blah 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 blah. So it's all basic. It doesn't matter what you're doing. A business is a business, And a lot of people, they kid themselves about what they're doing, and they mistake turnover for profit, and they get themselves in an awful lot of trouble, because if it's a high ticket item with a low profit in it, you can appear to be in a very, very, very good place financially, and you start spending according to your turnover, and then once you realise that the profit isn't enough to cover your spending, you're in trouble. So, as I say, there's a lot of things, but now's as good a time as any. Now is as good a time as any for this. There are so many opportunities. More millionaires were made during the Great Depression than at any other time in history, right? So if you know, if you're alert, if you look, you'll find an opportunity. I keep thinking all the time of different things that say, God, that would be a great idea to do that, or that would be a good idea to do that. And it's, you know, it depends where you want to go. But basically, all we want to do in life is get enough to be happy and content. And if you know, the trouble is, you see, that we are looking for contentment in the future, and that don't work. You've got to be content now. And that's a very profound thing, because we all punish ourselves and go without now for what might happen in the future. The only thing you've got control over is now. So you've got to make now where you're content, now where you're happy, because happiness is not a destination. Happiness is, you either are or you are not. And there's no guarantees that where you're heading for is going to make you happy. So if you work on being happy now, then you can't be disappointed, because you take that with you. And I wrote 25 years ago, when we first started doing this, wherever happiness goes, success and wealth are sure to follow. Okay? And it's never the other way round. Success will not necessarily make you happy. Wealth very rarely makes you happy. It might solve something for a few minutes, but it won't make you happy. So you've got to be happy, then everything else will be automatic on that. So if you could do anything now to make you happy, and if that frees you up to spend a bit to treat yourself for something, if there's a little job that's been nurking you about the house or whatever, we sort out, we do that before we sell it. Do everything you can to make your surroundings. We downgraded when we moved from Australia to here, from a huge sort of 6-bedroom, 3-bathroom house on the 10 acres of land, right, to a place here down by the river, two bedrooms, lovely. I love it. And everything that I need to make me enjoy it more, I do. Because you've got to make where you are, where you want to be. Don't ever be somewhere kidding yourself saying, when this happens, I'll be happy, I'll change it, I'll do it, but I'll make do now. No, don't make do. That's not what life's about. The only thing you've got control over is now. So make sure that now is where you want to be and where you want to be, and that you're happy there.
And I think I love that, because, excuse me, how many people are living a life or chasing a life that they believe that other people think it's all a showcase half the time, isn't it? And like you've left a property in Australia, 6 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, you downgraded. A lot of people will think, well, hold on. And I know that you have a happier life, and you've probably created more capital by doing that. So you can actually have more holidays. It create more happiness. So how do we break through and completely change that mindset to actually be happy with where you are, not what other people?
Well, the thing is that when I went for Australia, we had a lot of very big houses in Australia there for 25 years. And it was a lovely place, lovely climate, etc., etc. When I left there, I wanted to downgrade. I had to be realistic. I was pushing sort of 70. I think we come back here when we were 65. And we had to be realistic about it. We didn't want anything big. We didn't want anything that was going to sort of take our time. So we selected this property that we've got and set about making it where we wanted to be. So it was nothing to do with costs. It was nothing to do with what other people thought, right? I mean, I've been around a long time, and I know some very, very substantially wealthy people, and every single one of them, when they come here, they leave, they say, this is just what I want. And they've got huge houses. One of them lives in a house where they just filmed part of the latest James Bond film, with a drive up and all that sort of thing. And he came here about, 3 months ago, and he said, this is just what I want. So it just shows you that a lot of what we do to impress others, or we feel that would be good. Yet you don't need to impress others. At the end of the day, you've got to do everything. As I say, I'm not looking to be anywhere other than where I am now. I'm getting vibes about moving back to Australia possibly, because that might be a go. And I'm getting at the moment thinking of my winter holiday in South Africa, which they just open up again because we thought we were going to lose. So we're going to have a couple of months over there. So life is good, but I don't spend too long. When the borders closed to South Africa, we were there when the lockdown came in. We nearly got caught there. But when the borders were closed, I didn't sit here moaning about, oh, we can't go. I immediately was at peace with it. And then it's exciting. The other day I read 2 days ago that they've opened the borders to the UK again. So it's lovely. But I could have spent the last 3 or 4 months going, oh, shit, we ain't going to be able to get away. Australia's closed. We can't do this. So it's being at peace and accepting things immediately. See, whatever it is. Our stress comes from lack of information. For your mind to make a decision, it needs 100% of the information, 100% of the data. If there's anything missing, that's your stress. And what happens is that we see something and then we start thinking, oh God, but my business, what if this happens? What if COVID, what if that blows up? And this, we put all those things in that we've got no idea what will happen. That's the missing 20%. That's our stress. So the way to cure it, right, it's not being irresponsible, but you say, okay, what if? Have I done everything I can? Yes. So just to be sure, is there anything else I can do? Dig deep. Is there anything else I can do? No. Then you ain't got a problem, right? You then just say, I am going to forget. And you have this self-talk. It's lovely. Say, I'm going to forget about you until such time as you appear as a real situation. Deal in real. Because when you've got a problem that's real, you can never fail to solve it because you have to solve it. But we can't solve problems that don't exist. And that's what we're all doing all the time. Our stress, our anxiety comes from trying to solve problems that don't exist. And if you went and you admitted that to your doctor, he'd more likely sort of advise you to go along to an institution to look after you, because it's not a clever thing to do, is it? Try and solve something that don't exist. So once you sort of realize that if there's nothing you can do about it, you have got to stop it. It's like the situation now, right? Now, there's a lot of conjecture about the COVID thing, about whether it's the figures are right, whether this is right, whether that's right. Okay, but can you do anything about it? No. But the thing is, you see, that if you just leave it, people now with the COVID thing, there's a lot of eminent people coming in on the side of saying, well, hang on a minute, why are we doing these things, right? Because the things don't add up. So leave it to the people whose job it is to sort it out, because eventually it all sorts itself out. It's the old thing of good versus evil, right? Good normally prevails eventually, because good's the better thing. It's the better blanket, isn't it?
I love that, the deal in real, and I know that's something that you say a lot, and it's something that, because we spend half the time worrying about things that are never going to come to fruition. So why are we wasting our time doing that?
Yeah. Well, I'll just say one thing for your people that they can do, right? Write down 5 things, major things that you've worried about in your life, and how many of them actually happened. None of them. 99% of them will never happen, right? The major things that you've fretted and worried about. You imagine when I lost my business, I was in bits. I couldn't think how I was ever going to get back. I'd lost millions of dollars, and oh God, how's it all going to? It kept going on and on and on. And it wasn't until I just took stock, stopped, learned the teachings, right? And within 3 years, I was back in the game. I'd got another house. I'd got a factory. I've got another new business. I had rental properties. Because one thing I never lost was my credit, my ratings, right? Which is very important. It wasn't so important when I was growing up because everything was written down by hand. But now with computers, you've got to have a good credit rating. And I had 3 credit cards, and them gold and platinum type ones, you know, where you have a few quid on. And I got a chance to buy into a business with it's a bit of a long story for now, but because my credit was good, I got in and I maxed out 3 credit cards to get back in the game. And because I went into the business, that then gave me, the business was 30 years old, so that gave me, as a director, a business with 30 years credibility. Well, I was lethal because I knew how to handle that, you know, because I could go and get finance, I could go and do all the things I wanted to do because I had the backing of a 30-year-old business. So I would never have dreamt of that happening. It was just once I relaxed and started, because we started selling T-shirts in the market, because that's all I knew. I didn't have no money. I borrowed $500 off a mate of mine, which was a wonderful thing for him to do because I had nothing. And he lent me 500 quid and we went and had things printed on T-shirts, like, you know, it could be anything, you know, COVID rules or whatever, anything that you could have a laugh with at the pub. So it was all relevant. So every week someone would come and think, oh, what's the thing today? What's the funny thing on it? So we did that. And then the guy that used to print them, he was the guy who said, do you want to buy into the business? Well, he might as well said to me, do you want to fly to the moon? Because I never had nothing to do it. But then, with the, as I say, maxed out the credit card, said, well, I ain't got that, but I've got like 75 grand here. Well, he said, all right, give me that as a deposit and pay the rest. So sure enough, went into the business, and what I was earning out of the business was paying the balance of what I owed him. Brilliant, you know, but I couldn't work that out. It only happened when I relaxed and allowed things to happen. I couldn't have written what's happened to me in the last 25 years. It'd be impossible. But I've just let things happen. And that's half of the battle. I mean, we bought 4 houses in America in 2009 without even seeing them. And people say, you're bloody mad. Well, we were mad because they all doubled in price. So, but the point is that my vision had been to get back into the property job, and that come up. And to me, it didn't matter where it was. The figures stacked up, so we did it. But you know, it's all a case of really backing yourself, right? And it's that faith and belief in allowing things to happen that gives you the strength. Because I could not, even if I was the best fiction writer on earth, written what's happened to me since I lost my business. I couldn't have done it. And if I hadn't lost my business, I wouldn't be here talking to you now. So how lovely is that?
And I think one thing I just want to say, I think people will think, oh, does he just help people in business? And I think there's several people that could benefit. There's not just people that are successful in business and you take them to a next level with their business and with their happiness. You don't just help people that start in a business. You help people that are actually employed and looking for that extra happiness. And you did an exercise with me, and I can't remember, and it was like a type of mind mapping exercise where I wanted to be in like 12 months and 3 years and 5 years. Yeah. And I had to properly visualize and wrote all these things down. And pretty much all of these things came true. And if you'd have said to me at the time when I wrote these down and I'm visualizing and thinking these can happen, I was thinking this guy's crazy. And I just think there's so much.
You wouldn't be on your own there, Jez. You wouldn't be on your own thinking I'm crazy. So a lot of people have joined that with you.
But just what lot sort of, if you could go back and tell, give advice to your 20-year-old self, and it could be life advice, it could be, what business you'd set up in this time. What advice, a few bits of advice would you give now that people can take on, especially at a young age?
Right. Well, I would say that if you listen to me and do exactly what I'm going to tell you to do now, you can't fail, because after 30 years, I've denuded all the teachings. Now, it's based on where you were, where you are, and where you're going. That's the only 3 things that we're going to concentrate on. Now, whatever it is that you want, and I don't actually sort of plot 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, I just say, you've got to have your clear mental image of where you're going. Now, and the thing is, you see, most people create that out of what they think they can get, which is totally different to what you want, right? So you've got to actually see how difficult it is. Like, oh, write it down, yeah, and do that, yeah. And then they try and work out how it's all going to happen. It's impossible. We don't know how it's going to happen. So you put down what you want, and not all the rubbish of what you think you need. Because really and truly, when it comes to the end, you don't, you can lead a very, very nice life, without too many trappings. If I want to go on a lovely boat, I'll go and find someone who's got one, or I want for the day or whatever. So you don't need that boat, but go and make your clear mental image of what you want in the future. Then you make where you are where you want to be, because if you are here now thinking about all different things, you're missing now. And all you've got any control over is now. So make where you are. That's so important. And anything you can do to change where you are, to make it better, do it. Because the happier you are now, the more success you'll have. Okay? You bring the fact that the clear mental image, you bring that to now. Because it's going to happen, right? And the clearer it is, the more opportunities will align themselves to get you there. And people say to me, yeah, how does that work then? And I tell them, I say, I ain't got a bloody clue, but I know it does. But I tell you one thing, you may not know all the how to get there, but you'll know the next step. Provided you know where you're going, you'll notice opportunities will just jump out at you because they're relevant to your journey. Something that you've walked past every day of your life. And then all of a sudden, once you know where you go, good Lord, that's right on my doorstep. That's just what I need. And things like that start happening. And then people ring me saying, hey, guess what's happened? And I have to be all surprised. Say, what? All shocked about it. Right? So you make where you are, where you want to be. Okay? And you bring the enjoyment of where you're going to be to now, because it's going to happen. Don't worry. Once you start putting these negative thoughts in, that's what you're going to achieve. So you've got to keep this buoyant thing. Make where you are where you want to be. Enjoy where you are. Don't be in a hurry to escape. Just be where you are. Know where you're going, and then things will start happening to move you to where you're going. And the last thing, get rid of all the crap in the past. Because a lot of people that I deal with, they come in and they go, well, how's it going? They say, oh, it would have been all right if it hadn't been for that bloody divorce settlement. So, oh yeah, when was that then? Oh, 10 years ago. What? You've been dragging that problem round with you for 10 years. How's that working for you? Right? So the rules are, go to the past and bring all the bits from the past that are valuable today. That's knowledge, the wisdom, your abilities, all that. Get that from the past and bring that to now, because that'll help with now. But get rid of all the rest. I mean, in my book, it tells how I forgave the guy that nicked my business. Well, I should write him a letter of thanks now, because if it hadn't been for him, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. I'd have more likely been, I don't know, big business somewhere doing it, which I hated. Right? And now I know the rules, and I forgave him. And the story in the book is very, very interesting, because it's the process I went through to forgive him, because I didn't think I'd possibly have to forgive him for what he did. But now I should actually send him a bunch of flowers, because he sent me on this new journey. So you get rid of all the stuff in the past, and that's it. That's the advice. Don't drag around rubbish from the past, because we tend to use that, Jez, as an excuse, right? Anything that's gone wrong in the past, I lost my business. How many years do you think I went on telling people that's why things were going wrong? I lost my business. I went millions of dollars and I lost it, and this bloke took it. No one's interested. And as soon as I forgot it and forgave him, it was like an elastic band had been cut off. I just shot up the steps, purely and simply by getting rid of the anchor. Don't do it. No one's interested. No one's interested in all what went wrong. So don't tell them, because a lot of them thrive on it, don't they? Or tell us a bit more about what went wrong, Jez. I would love to hear a bit more about what went wrong. Hey, do you know, Jez, he did this went wrong. They're not interested.
No.
They're not interested.
So, Cross, how can people buy the book?
They go to the website. It's www.croz.uk.com/product/book. So I don't know if you put any notes anywhere underneath where you could put that.
Well, I'll put a link on there. And
yeah.
How much is the book?
It's $12.99, and the free postage anywhere in the UK. And if you want it signed, let me know. But a lot of people think that devalues it.
I love it. I got a signed copy. It's a value to me. I don't think people have got nothing to lose. You're not trying to go out there and claim I've created this new, this new system that works. You're saying this has been around for years. You just want to share the journey because it worked for you and you're living.
Yeah.
How do people contact you on the social media channels?
I'm on. You can message me on Facebook, Croz Crossley, and that's it. Or got a website, Worry Free UK, all one word, worryfreeuk@gmail.com.
Okay. And if you're thinking, I'm not sure if Croz is the right person for me, can he help me? Send him a message. And he works with everybody you can think of. If he's
well, I'll have a chat with anybody, and you won't lose, because if we have a chat, that I'll be able to throw a bit of light on something for you anyway, whether you decide to work with me or not. And I'm not being flash, but if I don't think that I can help you, I've got better things to do than try and convince you I can. You've got to have total faith and belief in me. I've got some great results. I work all over the world, America, South Africa, Australia, and without blowing my own trumpet, down to these teachings, people's lives change. Once you can harness it, there's not a problem.
Okay, brilliant. And I just want to sort of end on something a little bit light-hearted. So in 2014, you got selected as a lead role as a Rolf Harris lookalike.
Yeah.
How did that all come about, and how did that make you feel?
Well, it's just a bit of fun, isn't it? People get too sort of involved in things. It was just a bit of fun, wasn't it? It was a story, because they were doing a story of lookalikes, and they wanted someone to play Rolf Harris so they could sack him because of all what was going on. It was just a bit of fun. In fact, when they did the critics on it, one critic said that was the only good bit in it, was the bit with Rolf Harris. But it's all fun. I mean, you can't go too deep. I haven't sort of done anything wrong, so it's just, I think a lot of people read too much into things and do things. But it was a bit of fun. It was a day filming, and but I don't sort of hang anything. My wife does a lot of the film work, extra work. She's just come back from doing an advert for Sage, the cruise people, and she's been away for a few days doing that. Sometimes she drags me along on that, but yeah, it's good. Just go with the flow, really. But it was funny. Wasn't a sort of a major starring role or anything, but it was just a bit of fun.
So there you have it. I just want to say, Croz, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate your time. Do check him out. And like I said, please do contact Croz, because he's made a difference to a lot of people, and especially it's more relevant now than ever. But thank you so much, Croz.
You're more than welcome, Jez. Thanks very much.